Spirit is beauty. Woman, spirit runs deep. Woman loves with compassion. Our perfection is complete. Woman, spirit is graceful. Woman, spirit is wise. Woman, spirit is moving, bringing love into our lives. Woman, spirit is passion. Woman, spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding to honor life on earth. Woman's spirit is beauty. Woman's spirit is beauty. Woman's spirit runs deep. Woman's spirit runs deep. Woman loves with compassion. Loves with compassion. Our perfection is complete. Our perfection is complete. Woman's spirit is graceful. Woman's spirit is graceful. Woman's spirit is wise. Woman's spirit is wise. Woman's spirit is moving. Woman's spirit is moving. Bringing love into our lives. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding, yes, power unfolding to honor life, to honor life on earth. Passion. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding. Woman's power unfolding to honor life on earth. We're gonna honor life on earth. Yeah, to honor life on earth. Honor life on earth. Life on earth. Woman's spirit is birth.
Do this course because it's going to make you so happy. It's going to bring you alive. It's going to calm you down.
The aha moments were recognizing aspects of myself that I had not ever got in touch with before, in spite of the magnitude of work that I've done on myself.
It's improved my relationships with my husband, with my friends.
I am whole.
It is just amazing. And now, of course, I use the parts with the somatic experiencing.
And people have said to me, "You're so calm. Your humor's come out. Where does that come from?" I didn't know that I had a sense of humor.
I can face challenges that I have.
Now, when those threats come in, I'm able to keep my balance.
I was too shy to kind of let that real, authentic me show. Now I let it show.
I've been already developing a program, just like a trauma coaching program for the clients I was working with and just getting new clients, because I just started my Instagram like 3 months ago. And so I've been coming up with like, how can I combine the mental, physical, and environmental factors that have affected me with trauma and helping people. And so this was like the missing ingredient of like just getting more of that tactical, practical information too, and like how to distill it. I was figuring out like, how do I take all of this information and explain it to people in a way that doesn't overwhelm them? And this was it. Like, this was just perfect. So it's great.
I feel like I have another pillar of expertise with the certification of having the theory and the family systems and the more sort of traditional therapy knowledge with the somatic experiencing, and now having the biology. It just feels like, oh yeah, this is like even richer, like what I can bring to the table to help people with this. So I really appreciate that you're facilitating this.
As a therapist, I have just loved the depth of what's next in my work, because and I'm a somatic experiencing therapist, so I really get the body and do all that really wonderfully well, I think.
Hi, my name is Ann Connor, and I was a mentor in the 21-day journey that just finished. I have experience and training in somatic experiencing. I just recently became a somatic experiencing practitioner. I was able to be a mentor, which was so very exciting and added so much value to my experience of the class.
Hi, my name is Lori Montre. I'm a trauma-informed eating psychology coach, and I've known for a long time how important somatic experiencing is in helping the people that I work with regulate their nervous system and become able to overcome their challenges in a much more easy and effective way.
To know that there's another step, many more steps around people's mitochondria and testing. I've just brewed out on it. And I'm so excited to figure out how to have half my people tested and want to work collaboratively, because if that resolves, then all the other stuff will further resolve, because they're already doing good therapy. It's now the people who are really stuck, that aren't really moving.
I certainly met a lot of people. I had an opportunity to practice with groups doing these amazing somatic experiencing tools and strategies. So I had that experience with a larger group, met people. I think the larger community, it turned out to be something even more exciting and fruitful than I had even imagined. I didn't know that would be a part of what I got out of the class, but I did.
I was so grateful to be a part of Dr. Aimie's 21-day journey as a mentor. It gave me the opportunity not only to learn from Dr. Aimie and her beautiful, with her knowledge and her grace and the kindness that she brings to that space. I learned a lot from her, not only for myself in my own somatic practice, but also for how I can bring that to the people that I work with. I was able to do that in the course. I was able to even connect with some of the other people that were in the course outside of the course and be able to support them in a more meaningful way.
I've already had 2 people tested with a psychiatrist, and I'm blown away that their copper is at 177, and it's, yes, I was like I can't tell you how excited I was. And so was the psychiatrist who's part of Walsh's thing, to know that, because there's really hope for her within the next 2 months. It makes me cry. So.
I've lived in chronic freeze for a really long time, and despite my best searches for healing, I certainly found some along the way, but never have I made so much progress with anything other than the somatic experiencing techniques and tools that Dr. Aimie teaches than I have now. And I now know that the biology of trauma is such an important piece, and I'm really excited along that track.
And I also would like to say that Dr. Aimie's team made it so easy for us mentors. They really did. The expectations were entirely reasonable. They made it easy for us. They gave us everything we needed and supported us along the way, and really took care of us as we were taking care of others. So I can't say enough about the experience. For me, it was just something far beyond anything that I could have expected. So definitely, if you're thinking about it at all, I don't think you'll be sorry.
I speak from experience. I have 7 kids from 29 to 14. And so I still have some at home. And I've seen this process that there is hope.
And I have 3 kids, and 2 of my kiddos have actually helped me with exercises so far.
My oldest is going to be a junior. She is about to be 16. My middle is 14, and my youngest is 13. We've been out of school for a year.
I'm a multitasker and a high functioning doer. And as a result, my body, I have come to learn through this process, is really ticked at me, really mad. And so I have a lot of healing to do with the relationship with my body. But something that's come forward with my children is that some of them have picked up that same attribute.
About a month ago, I was in such crisis with my nervous system. I was so dreading the beginning of the school year. Different therapies starting for the kids and different sports, and not to mention getting them to school and feeding them and bathing them. And I was in such a state of freeze and overwhelm that I was convinced 100% that I could not be able to do this.
I have to remind myself to breathe on a constant basis, and I have to do the same with my daughters. And I would normally run and hide in the other room and let them work it out. Well, this time I took some deep breaths and I composed myself, and I went up to her, and she was so shocked. I contained her, and in that 5 minutes of holding her and holding myself and just everyone being quiet, I could feel the energy in the room come to a place where we could communicate, and it made sense.
And so I'm really grateful for Dr. Aimie. I am so grateful for the examples of other moms who I go, there's hope, and we are doing something. We didn't fail in the past. The point is that we're doing something now, and it will bless us and bless our children, even our adult children who've gone away. It's going to have a ripple effect in a very positive way. So have hope and don't beat yourself up anymore. Know that you're doing something.
And then today I was with my 5-year-olds, and I had some panic, and I said, baby girl, mama's about to make a noise. And I said, a belly breath, because she knows what a belly breath is. I said, I'm going to make a belly breath, and I'm going to make a sound with it. And it's going to go voo. And if you want to do it with me, you can. And she did. She did it with me. And I felt so much better. And being able to connect and communicate with her in that moment of panic, that in itself helped bring everything down. So it was very cool.
Thanks to this workshop, I guess, and learning that a lot of it is physical biology. I've been in 12-step meetings. I've been through a lot of things. And I'm realizing how it was impacting my kids. And that's where I decided, after talk therapy, EMDR, meetings every day, it's my nervous system. And I know it and I feel it. And it's great to see people passing it on to their kids, because I see it daily in my life, and it's a blessing.
And welcome. day 6 of the Biology of Trauma Summit. And today is one of my favorite days in terms of the topics and the talks. Has anybody checked out the topics for today yet? Yeah. So, in fact, let's open up the chat and you can type into the chat what is speaking to you, what's exciting you about today's talks. If you've checked it out, if you haven't, I'm gonna go through them. But Lita, of course, Karen Drucker. Today is the day for Karen Drucker. So, oh my goodness, I was actually reviewing that interview this morning myself, and I have a hard time even calling it an interview because it was not an interview. It was a flow. It was a conversation. And what I most appreciated about it is that I thought I knew her music. I mean, right? Like of all people, I know her songs, I know her music. And yet she would break out in song because she was actually at her keyboard talking to me. And she'd be like, oh, you're talking about this song? And she'd play this song. And I'd be like, I've never heard that one, Karen. I'm like, what? Where are these coming from? But what I most loved about Karen's conversation is that, oh my goodness. And I think I'll just jump in because I'll just jump into going over what is in her interview. It's a 39-minute interview conversation. And what I wanted out of it was to know what is behind the songs, Karen. Because, and I start to feel the tears coming up as I'm thinking back on, my lowest point with my own health journey. And her songs were literally what got me through, of me being able to kind of take it in. I would play them all day long, and it would just be, Aimie, you're going to keep your mind focused on what's to come, and there are better things coming. You're not going to let your mind get stuck in the negativity and the hopelessness that I could feel at that time. And so for me, her songs have meant so much, and now in many areas of my life. And so I wanted to know, Karen, like, tell me about this song. So I asked her about the song Breathe. We used that one a lot in the 21-day journey. We used it in the gut health module. Tell me about that song. How did that song come to be? And then she even shares with me another song about breathing that I hadn't recognized or heard that one yet. And then I asked her about Letting Go of the Shore. So that's not one that I have played as much. It's one of my favorites. It's called Let Go of the Shore. And I asked her, like, what's the story behind that? But then what happens in that conversation is that it unfolds into this, like, I want to call it a lesson. So I'll just call it that. And that's what I would want you guys to take away from this interview, which is she demonstrates through her own example and life and the stories that she's telling me about the songs. She's demonstrating that she writes the songs that she needs. She's not writing the songs for other people. She's writing the songs that she needs. And even as I say that, I get goosebumps, because is that not what we are here doing? And for those of you who are practitioners, and certainly for me, like in my training, it was all about how am I helping other people? Whereas I have had to turn that completely around in my own life and career to be like, no, like healing begins with me. I have my own work to do. And actually, the work that I share with other people is only the work that I'm doing for myself. I don't share anything that I have not been through myself and come out on top. Because what do I have to teach about it? And so through her stories and through her example, it is what I would want you guys to walk away with as a model for how do I effectively reach and help other people? Oh, it's by keeping the focus on myself. It's a completely different way of thinking and approaching helping other people than what we have been taught and what we have seen. So that is Karen Drucker's. So what else do we have going on? We have some great talks today. We have Judith Warner. Judith Warner is not somebody that you may have run across before. In fact, who is new to Judith Warner? Never heard. Awesome. Yay. I get to introduce you to this powerhouse writer. So decades ago, I want to say 2 decades ago, but I would have to go back to the article to be exact. She writes articles, New York Times, Washington Post, like she's been a writer and an author of books. And she wrote an article on the successful thin woman's syndrome. Successful thin woman's syndrome. And it was so powerful that Robin Carmorse and I believe Dr. Vincent Folletti have referenced her work. And when I read that, like it was certainly something that shaped my own coming into the trauma space and kind of what was happening in the system that wasn't working. And that's basically what she does. I mean, she just breaks it down and says like this is what people are doing to their bodies. The successful thin woman, for example, is doing this in order to perform better, in order to excel better, in order to try to be the CEO and to try to do these things. And this is what's happening. They're actually making themselves so sick that there is a syndrome named after that. Did anybody know that there was a successful thin woman syndrome? Yeah, there is. And it's just very much like the broken heart syndrome. Like it's an actual physiological thing. There's mitral valve in the heart. There's this mitral valve that regulates the blood flow between the chambers. Like there are actual physiological things that we can measure in this syndrome. And this is what happens when we are just living life the way that we have been living life. And so what her talk does, which I would, again, like this is the lesson from this talk that I would want you to take away, is just like Karen Drucker shows us a model, Judith Warner shows us a model that we could adapt for ourselves. And that is evolution. Our own evolution of thinking, our own evolution of gathering or at least receiving new information and actually letting it change our viewpoint and the way we think about something. Rather than what comes from our trauma patterns is becoming rigid. This is what I've believed. This is what I've seen. This must be so. I'm not open to new information. And so Judith presents just by her own life. And that's what the whole interview is actually, is taking us, walking us from that article, which she is actually quite ashamed of now, and walks us through her own evolution of thinking around mental health, successful thin women and what the real issue is, mental health polypharmacy, kids on all kinds of anxiety or ADHD medications, even to then her becoming a mom and thinking that I'm not good enough because I'm just passing my own stuff on to my kids and I can see that. Okay, but then there should be an evolution, right? Like don't get stuck there. So for her, she's going to walk you through the different turning points and decisions and present for us a model that then I would love for you to just kind of be able to parallel with your own life. Have I been adapting to new information? Or am I maybe living from my trauma self in those instances, in those places, and have been rigid and fixed, and I'm not experiencing the evolution that will always happen with healing? Are we open to new information that contradicts what we have thought before? Really deep, powerful stuff. Speaking of deep and powerful, JJ Virgin. This is a 39-minute interview. And her interview is for anybody who has ever felt unlovable. Probably nobody here. I understand that. So, so JJ Virgin is a very successful celebrity nutritionist, weight loss person, but she has pushed the envelope for her approach around weight loss and brought in the food sensitivity element, stuff that we talk about over in the gut health and trauma module. And she introduced that to the weight loss space. She is she is on the front lines, and she gets a lot of heat because of that. She gets a lot of criticism because of that, but she gets a lot of recognition also because of that. And for the very first time, you guys, she shares her adoption story. She was adopted. And I wanted to have her share what challenges did she need to work through in order to be able to become successful and authentic, successful and healthy, where it's not success at the cost of shoving all that down and not working on it. What did you have to work through, JJ, in order to be able to be who you are, live the life that you do, have the career that you do, and it be something that is authentically you? And what she shares is, my goodness, so powerful, so powerful. And again, presents to us a model that I would want you to walk away with, because some of us, but not all of us here have those specific types of life events like being adopted. But there are essential breakthroughs that someone needs to have who is going to grow in any area of their life and not stay small for fear of being seen, being ridiculed, and going back into that shame place. So it's the challenges, it's the breakthroughs that I want you to walk away from this interview with, understanding, have I been doing the work? Or have I maybe, looking at my life, do I see more patterns of staying small and not growing for fear of being seen and having still that core belief of I'm unlovable? Megan Walker, 39-minute interview as well. And Dr. Megan, she has been a leader in the entrepreneur space for some time. She's a naturopathic physician herself, and then has been helping other health entrepreneurs build the business that they want to have, get out of the rat race, get out of that model, and be willing to create the practice that best serves them. And what I asked her is, what are the patterns? What are the trauma patterns that you see most in these health entrepreneurs that block their ability to make that big change in their life? And so again, the takeaway from this interview is that every change in our life, every change, small to big, but certainly a big one, like I'm going to leave my regular job and step out into this practice. But there's many other big changes in life. Every change is a stress. Even if you think that you are ready for it, that you've prepared for it, And that would be also another question that we cover in this interview. Do you prepare for change, or do you just jump in, close your eyes, hold your breath, and hope for the best? There's all kinds of trauma patterns that show up around change. And this interview will help you see the trauma patterns that show up and help you recognize them as trauma patterns. So even though it's focused on health entrepreneurs, it's really talking about change and recognizing trauma patterns that keep us from making change, necessary change in our life that would serve us. And then when we do make change, what are those patterns that show up? The other talk that we have for today is Dr. Robin Nielsen. 38-minute interview. And we cover a couple of different things. One would be why hormones are a portal to accessing trauma. And why people tend to wear burnout as badges of honor. Oh, don't tell me that you've never done that yourself. Right? We brag about how much we worked for somebody, how much we put into preparing for them to come over to our house, how much we spent on, getting things ready for people. We express just normal, naturally in our culture, burnout as badges of honor. The other thing that I would want you to take away from this interview is that there is a natural rhythm to life. There's a natural rhythm to the body. And especially with the talk around hormones, that's what you're going to get to see. Is there's a natural rhythm that happens. And with that natural rhythm, we can relax into that rather than feeling like we have to force things, even force our own healing. What if we could just trust the process? What if we could just relax into life, knowing that the rhythm of life, the cycles of life will bring to us what we need at that time to work on. We don't have to go looking for it. Now that's a concept. And so that's why with this talk, yes, it's centered around hormones. But the larger point that I would want you to walk away and be listening for in this interview is with hormones, there is a natural rhythm to life, right? As you grow older, hormones change. That's supposed to happen, right? Like there is a natural flow. There is a natural rhythm. There's natural cycles of life. And those cycles include times that our trauma is more accessible to us. And just being able to honor that. And when those times present, okay, we get to go with what it's presenting to us rather than being so focused on, I have to heal, that I have to go find this stuff. I have to force this to happen. Being able to recognize and step into the rhythm that is already there, Big concepts for today, you guys. Big life healing concepts for today. The experiential workshop tonight is one that I am so super excited about. We have a music and breath meditation exercise. A music and breath, music guided and breath meditation exercise led by Ashana and Dana. And they are actually connected and good friends with some of the other speakers on this summit. So it was so wonderful to be able to include them in this. And they're going to be doing an amazing guided meditation tonight. So again, these experiential workshops are open to anybody. So invite friends, share the link with them. They are more than welcome to come, whether or not they are listening to the summit. Has nothing to do with that. Just invite them and they can come to these experiential workshops as well. And thank you, Carla, for dropping the link in the chat right now. So if I had to give you an order for the talks today, I am really struggling with this. Oh, I forgot. There is one other talk today, which is the one on grief. How could I forget grief? How can we have an important talk on life concepts without talking about grief? My goodness. Isn't that cool though, that I almost forgot about grief? This is good. This is a good indication of where I'm at in my healing journey. So one of and that's actually one that I present along with my friend and colleague, Jess McNaughton, who was on our experiential workshop the other night with C60. And so it's actually more of me presenting on when grief becomes complicated with trauma. And so it's actually not just grief. And that's why you're having such a hard time working through that grief, is because it's been coupled with trauma. How would you know that it's coupled with trauma? And what do you do about it? Where do you start? Where do you start with uncoupling and being able to work through grief, move through grief rather than carrying it and holding that? So, I mean, do you want to start with Unlovable? Do you want to start with healing yourself? I almost want to say, right, like Karen Drucker would be the one to wrap everything up, right? Wrap everything up. So I would watch the other ones, and then she is just going to bring it home for you and give you the warm fuzzies after some hard concepts of how do we change our belief systems? What's that evolution, the model of evolution that Judith Warner is going to walk us through? Working around feeling unlovable, not good enough, challenging who you are at your core, like somebody does when they've been adopted. That's one of the challenges that they have to work through in order to experience a level of health in their life. She even shares like how, when she went to find her birth family, what that process was like, not only for them, but for her and for her adoptive parents. So if there's anybody in your life who was adopted, this will be a really powerful one for you to understand them on a deeper level too. Entrepreneurs with Megan Walker, using life trauma as a gift rather than a setback, and seeing that model. And then the rhythms of life, the cycles of life, accessing a deeper level of healing with those natural rhythms. And then Karen Drucker, healing begins with me. Yay. I am so excited to hear how you experience the talks and the interviews today. Really excited to hear your highlights and your insights. So with that, have a very, very wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see you at tonight's workshop at 5:30 p.m. Pacific at this same link. Oh, this is one of my favorite songs too of Karen Drucker. So Michael, this is pretty specific to women. I hope you don't mind.
Woman's spirit is beauty. Woman, spirit runs deep. Woman loves with compassion. Our perfection is complete. Woman, spirit is graceful. Woman, spirit is wise. Woman, spirit is moving, bringing love into our lives. Woman, spirit is passion. Woman, spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding to honor life on earth. Woman's spirit is beauty. Woman's spirit is beauty. Woman's spirit runs deep. Woman's spirit runs deep. Woman loves with compassion. Loves with compassion. Our perfection is complete. Our perfection is complete. Woman's spirit is graceful. Woman's spirit is graceful. Woman's spirit is wise. Woman's spirit is wise. Woman's spirit is moving. Woman's spirit is moving. Bringing love into our lives. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding, yes, power unfolding to honor life, to honor life on earth. Passion. Woman's spirit is passion. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's spirit is birth. Woman's power unfolding. Woman's power unfolding to honor life on earth. We're gonna honor life on earth. Yeah, to honor life on earth. Honor life on earth. Life on earth. Woman's spirit is birth.
Yay. Thank you for enjoying that song with me. Have a very, very beautiful rest of your day. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And please take notes because I want to hear what you take away. And we will see you later.